You're a fraud.
You're a liberal hack.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 2 of The Hack and the Fraud. My name's Ryan. I am with Nick.
Hello again.
And today we'll be discussing The Dig. The Dig is a 2021 British drama film directed by Simon Stone, based on the 2007 novel of the same name by John Preston, which reimagines the events of the 1939 excavation of Sutton Hoo. It stars Carey Mulligan, Ralph Fiennes, Lily James, Johnny Flynn, Ben Chaplin, Ken Stott, Archie Barnes, and Monica Dolan.
Should we take a look at them then?
Right. Things like this are usually done through museums.
Yes, but with the war coming, they couldn't embark upon any new ventures.
Well, I've been on digs since I was old enough to hold a trowel. My father taught me.
What are they?
We're standing in someone's graveyard, I reckon. Viking? Oh, maybe older.
All right, The Dig.
Yeah, let's get stuck in.
Nicholas,
Let's dig in.
let's dig in. All right, first thoughts.
Yeah, look, I think we might be similar on this one, but you said before it was the reimagining of the excavation of 1939. That's just like, that doesn't take a lot of imagining like that.
It turns out they didn't have much of an imagination.
There was barely any imagination. Like, the movie's a bit boring. We'll go into why a bit later on, but like, it's just, like, especially the dialogue. I had a problem with the dialogue the whole movie. The subplots were just, like, a lot of them were just unnecessary, laughable at points. The camera work was really good, and probably salvaged good scores for some people. Like, I think this has got pretty good reviews, or
Not bad. I mean, I think
reviews, like
7 and upwards,
sevens, yeah,
which is generous.
And I think the performances were good enough from
Some of them.
Some of them, I wouldn't say all, yeah. But I think Carey was a strong-ish lead.
She was good. I mean, her character, almost one of the main characters, Edith, she has a heart condition. She's dying throughout the movie, essentially. And you see her descent from kind of relative health to, dying and being cognizant of her death and what that effect will have on her son and all that sort of stuff. And I mean, Carey Mulligan portrayed that really well. That being said, it's still kind of a boring role. She just kind of sat around being depressed, which...
Yeah, her screen time kind of fell off
It fell off a cliff like halfway through the movie. She
did.
was the lead, and then, or one of the two leads, and then I just forgot she was in the movie for kind of half of it. And that's where we came in with Lily James's character when she came in halfway through the movie. We'll get into that later. But look, no, I think I agree with you broadly. It was a very boring movie. I started off enjoying it. Off the bat, you may have noticed I was giggling along to a few bits. I did like some of the dialogue to begin with. I liked Ralph Fiennes' character, his introduction. I liked the introduction to the world that we had. I have to say I'm a fan of archaeology. I don't really know what that means, except I've always been into like ancient Egypt and medieval stuff, and the Anglo-Saxons and the Vikings. So already I was like keen for the movie. But then everything that it could have been, it wasn't, and it was almost a nothing movie. I don't understand why these actors choose to act in these period dramas that don't mean anything, don't tell us anything about ourselves, don't have anything to say. Essentially, what did the movie have to say?
That's a quote. Yeah, I was actually going to say that, like, as well. You don't really learn
sorry
anything.
for stealing your
You don't
point.
really, no, that's it. You don't really learn anything from this movie, like, besides a short snippet in history. And I think that's the whole movie's theme, about being like a continuation of history. But it's such
true.
a boring history. I think no one would have known about this for good reason.
It's one of those untold history stories that should have remained untold. No, you're right. Actually, that was the point of the movie, because at the end they do talk about how, like, we don't really die. We're all part of this tapestry of history. And they literally have like a table full of photographs on it that's kind of like a tapestry of history. But I feel like they kind of got to the end of making the movie and thought, fuck, we really need to have a point to this movie. And they're like, it's the tapestry of history. That's the point of the movie. So, look, maybe... All right, before we get into all that stuff, let's talk about maybe some positives of the movie. Do you have any positives you want to say?
I stumbled upon one before. I said. Now, the camera work was really good. I got to say... I kind of like the score. I think the score was a bit too overdramatic and too like theatrical. Like, it was just like, boom, boom. Like, I forgot how it goes, but like, it was just everything was just so like what's the word?
Epic or
epic. It was an epic score for what
You
was
think?
nothing.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
so
the score.
No, I had the opposite opinion of the
Oh,
score.
Yeah, just boring.
Boring. It was like piano for the most of it. There were like a couple of scenes where it had that kind of the violin starts and they're going do do do, you know, as something exciting happens. But for the most part, it was kind of that really cheap piano score, like where they've got one guy just like kind of playing some piano notes, and that was kind of this, like it was such a Netflix miniseries score. I mean, I agree with the cinematography. Cinematography was great. I love the way it was shot. It was an interesting way it was shot. I can't really describe it apart from they seemed to have, you know, no zoom lens at all. It was just like a focused lens that kind of followed these characters around. And the camera followed them a lot, and not really a fish eye effect, but some sort of effect that it would look different from other movies that I watched.
Noticed that too.
And I really liked it. It was shot beautifully. I did really like that. But yeah, I can't agree with you on the score. The score felt like a Netflix miniseries.
I'm not gonna live or die with the score. I'm just saying, like, you play an instrument. I just listen. That's
Yeah,
the
true.
Thing. So I'm gonna concede on that one. So that's
Okay.
all good. But yeah, no. Aside from that, we said before maybe the performances are okay. Like Ray Fiennes gave it a real kind of go with his.
Oh, Ray Fiennes was awesome.
He gave it a go. It's just his character was ordinary. It's just like
I liked his character though. His character is this like sweet man who
he's meant to be the soul of the movie. I get that,
Yeah.
but he's just like I think it's this conversation. So there's everything he said. It's just like, what? Do you remember anything memorable that he said? It was just all drab. It was all just. Like, you know when you overhear conversations that random people are having?
Yeah.
And you're walking in the mall and you hear
You're
like
like,
this table talking about, oh my God, Jessica. And then the next table's talking about, oh fuck, you know, I'm late for class. Something like that. It's just like that boring.
and
It's
he's
like,
I'm
you
glad I'm
just-
not fucking them.
inconsequential information in the entire conversations that I had in the movie. I don't think I ever remembered an important topic to discuss. Maybe about death and
Yeah. Apart from, I mean, Ray Fiennes had some dialogue with the boy, but I kind of hated the boy as well. It's
the boy was super obviously precocious as they all are. Like,
They're all-
don't
why
worry,
children-
mum, you can die and I'll be fine. But saying it in such a
I'll be strong for you, mum. Like,
you're like 4 and you're playing with like tin foil in your head.
yeah.
I know where your future lies. It's not good. Future Alex Jones.
Yeah. Look, the kid didn't do much for me either. It did, apparently.
That's a good thing. Good sign. Kid didn't do anything for me too, just for those listeners out there.
Almost thought he did for one of the other characters. There was like, that was a weird. Okay, so let's talk about the weird subplots, right? So, I mean, I would excise the kid entirely, but anyway. Another weird subplot, like halfway through the movie. So the movie is Edith, Carey Mulligan's character, owns this plot of land that has these giant dirt mounds on them, essentially, that have some sort of archaeological significance. So she hires Ray Fiennes' character to come dig them out.
It was the strongest plot in the movie too.
the main
Plot of land. It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's good. All right. And yeah, so that's where the movie starts off. And that's what they're doing for the most part. And they uncover an old Anglo-Saxon ship, which is great. And halfway through the movie, they introduce a bunch more characters. Now, I thought it was mainly just going to be, you know, Ray Fiennes and Edith and those two characters. And then halfway through the movie, Lily James shows up with her husband and a bunch of other guys. And probably within 5 minutes of meeting them, like, we don't know these characters. We don't care about them. And within 5 minutes, Lily James's character and her husband are clearly having marital difficulties because the husband is clearly gay for another one of those archaeologists. Immediately. And I had no idea who these people were. Their relationship wasn't established, so the fact that the husband was gay meant nothing to me. It was really perplexing in the middle of this movie, like halfway through, just to introduce this subplot. And then that was like one of the key points throughout the rest of the movie is Lily James, who we still, like, if we had introduced her and her husband, or just maybe her, and like built her up as a character first, but no, immediately, her only characterization is that she has a gay husband. And that's her whole character.
That's right. No, I think I'm wrong. This is probably the most interesting part of the movie. It's just, it was just whack. It was whack. So you're right. Basically, she comes into the film and she just brings on these problems that she has.
Yeah, that's right.
There was a subplot was just her problems that she was just having, like you know.
People
I
not
don't know if
taking
they
it
were
seriously.
newlyweds. Like I flike they weren't though.
No,
because
I felt
it's
like
like
they were
she only
established.
just realized now that
That's what I thought as
her
well.
husband is totally gay.
Like they've been living 10 years and they come to this ship and I don't know, the ghost Vikings made him gay immediately.
Yeah, he just went super gay and was like just fawning after this guy, and it's so obvious. Like everyone knew. I'm pretty sure. I hope that the cousin of Edith, who then was sort of like, "I'm in here. This her husband's gay." Like I think I'm a shot.
Yeah,
I think
he
that's,
was.
I think he saw that as an opening, and then was just like, oh, like look at these pictures, look at these photographs.
Which is fine, but the husband didn't have a character at all as well either. And then at the end of the movie, she's like, when you're happy, you're beautiful. Go be happy. And so he goes off and be gay. And then and she gets with the hot biker cousin of Edith, of Carey Mulligan.
Also, that's like, I can't believe if you're cheating on your wife, you're being gay is like a pass, right? Like forget that. It's just like go fly, go spread your wings. It's just like forget that you've been cheating on me this past.
Well, then you've ruined the last 10 years of my life with this loveless marriage. Yeah, she goes like, oh yeah, when you're happy, it's beautiful. And he's like, I'm happy with you. And she's like, you're not. And he's like, I could learn to be. Awful.
Shock therapy? I don't know.
Anyway, that was super weird. Another weird subplot was the World War II. I know it was set in 1939 on the eve of World War II. That's what the synopsis says, in the eve of World War II. But I didn't feel that it was the eve of World War II. I didn't even know really that it was World War II until kind of halfway through the movie. I thought it could have been in between the wars. I didn't feel that it at all conveyed that, despite the ending really ramping up the fact that they're heading into World War II. I didn't really feel that through the whole movie. That could have been a cool thing, like hanging over the heads of the characters throughout the movie. And I just feel they didn't really do anything with that at all.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. I think it was meant to be a bigger kind of like overarching.
Yeah, that's right.
Evil status. Like, what's going to happen? It's just like this dread. But I think it's just it didn't pay off for me as well. And I think that the way they showed it was with the wireless going, and they said
the wireless.
Germany did not return a telegram to say that they would not go to war. So
we're at war,
basically,
gentlemen.
We are at war. But it zooms in on the driver who we hadn't been introduced. I'm pretty sure it was the driver, right? And
There was a lot
we
of
don't
that.
know who. Yeah, like just random characters.
Random characters who, like, I don't remember their names. None of their names apart from,
Yeah.
like, Edith and Basil Brown, the two main characters, I suppose.
And Basil Brown's wife is just such a
I liked her.
but she's just like, what is she in the movie? She was not given any sort of substantial role.
Yeah, it was
essentially
confusing.
like first it looked like she was the old hag wife that was sort of not allowing Bobby or whatever his name
Basil
is
have fun.
to have fun. And I thought maybe like Basil was going to look at Edith.
Carey Mulligan? Yeah, I thought that was going to be.
That was the kind of thing, wasn't it?
It
Like,
was,
that
for
wasn't just
sure.
me reading into
Well,
something.
and Carey Mulligan was all dressing up for their dinner as well.
She was getting ready.
Yeah,
She
absolutely.
was-
But then, like, Mrs. Brown was actually just a sweet lady. But also, they're in a sexless, loveless marriage as well, which was confusing as well.
I know,
But they
everyone-
are kind of, they're lovely. She's like, oh, Basil, he deserves to be the king of the archaeologists or whatever,
Yeah, it's an interesting relationship. Well, actually, no, not interesting at all.
Not interesting.
But-
That's the problem. And, they kind of did more of the World War stuff too with, at one point, because the only indication of World War II is planes flying over them intermittently throughout the movie because they're near a RAF base. And towards the end of the movie, with like 20 minutes left, a pilot crashes in the water, and that's like a set. But it doesn't make sense in the context of the movie. I thought it would be more an archaeology movie. It's not really. It's more of a character study. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the archaeology elements, the World War II elements, which the movie seems to want to be the key elements, are not at all. Which is very confusing to me.
No, I agree. I think that the entire point of that plane crash was just to give that cousin guy, again, just like another minor character who, like, it's
gonna be a
we
pilot,
Didn't really,
yeah.
want to be a pilot or something like that. I don't know. Does he end up being a pilot? I'm pretty sure. But he's excited, and then he's just like, oh, now it's getting real. This guy was on his second solo flight.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have remembered that, but it's just there's no point to it. It was just like,
Well, and I think that is the key point, is there's no point to this movie. I don't understand what the purpose of the movie was. And for me, it's another case of like, Netflix, you've done it again. This is a straight to Netflix, pointless movie. I don't know who it's made for. Maybe my grandma.
Yeah, I felt that too. I felt like people who are alive then, maybe.
Yeah, who hadn't seen movies before and were like, wow, this is great.
I'm really, if you gave that a really good review and you're like under the age of say 40 even, I would love to hear what like why you gave it a good review. It is what you saw in it, why this film was good for you. Maybe like pure archaeologists. This is like textbook archaeology or something like that. Meaning it's like
Maybe
belongs in a textbook because it's boring.
Now, what about the people who were behind the film? Simon Stone. I don't know what he's done before. He's Australian, unfortunately. I've seen a few movies.
I've seen one of his
Australian.
films called The Daughter.
The Daughter.
And a bit of a fact there. One of the extras in the movie The Daughter was my bloody old ma.
All right.
Seriously,
Okay.
it was my mum. She was in that.
There's a connection.
There is
to
a connection.
terrible director, apparently.
Yeah. So I'll ask her about this guy. Did he seem a bit amateurish? And
I'm actually disappointed to find out that he's Australian. I generally want to support Australian filmmakers.
yeah, but that makes sense for the dialogue. Like the dialogue for me was like written by someone who didn't have an idea as to what people talked about or talked like back then, and they just based it off. I don't know, like they're just like, oh, here we come, World War III, World War II. Look at our champs getting ready to ship off.
Initially,
Like,
I
just
thought
that
the
kind of, like-
dialogue was good. At
no.
the start of the
Never
movie,
was good for
I was almost like, oh, this is kind of like really, this is going to be that really nice kind of like really esoteric of its time, like snapshot into the past. But it's not that at all. It's like, for example, an example of that would be Master and Commander, right? You watch Master and Commander, and you feel like you're there. You feel like you're viewing the past.
Let's make that our next watch.
Yeah, let's
Just while we're
actually-
talking.
'cause
I love that movie so much.
We watched one okay movie and then one like really mediocre
so
movie.
excited.
Yeah,
I'll be
Master
back.
and Commander. It's been a while since I've watched it, but anyway, the point being, that was what I was hoping it would be more like.
David Weir too, who's Australian, another director. So we are.
So we do like
we
massive.
do like our Australian directors.
That's
normally.
right. I was going to watch Lawless, which is directed by an Australian as well. Alex Garland, correct?
Oh,
Possibly. I'll have to check back on that one. I'm pretty sure it's directed by an Australian, but it might not be Alex Garland. I'll just confirm that. I mean, we're on the podcast. Nobody can see that we're looking.
yeah.
No, directed by John Hillcoat, who is Australian.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Alex Garland was Ex Machina, which was
That's right. Oh, and but what was his first director? Oh, well, apparently he directed Dread pretty much.
did he?
Yeah, it got
He was like
behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
Oh,
and I think he did Annihilation too.
Anyway, the point is we do like Australians, but yeah, not in this instance. And it felt like somebody who had no relation to. I mean, if he had been English, if he had maybe been from that area and had a knowledge of these characters and how they would interact with each other, maybe it would have been better. Maybe because I am always fascinated by, and that's what I was hoping for, like an insight into a part of the world that I didn't know about, a part of like a part of existence that I didn't know about, like being a human in this time period doing this thing. That is something that could be really interesting. I mean, the thing is, I think there is a good movie hiding somewhere in there.
No, I think just the subject matter is a bit too bland. I think so.
No, but they had moments like they discovered that the coin, and the coin meant that Anglo-Saxons, were a coin-faring species. No, what is the term for that? Way before they thought, it changed archaeology. It changed the perception of the Anglo-Saxons throughout history. It changed our concept of who we are. That could have been something that was really interesting, but it just didn't. It was one scene, and it was just like the Hobbit, the guy from the Hobbit.
The guy from the Hobbit.
Yeah,
Ken Stott.
he's like, oh, they find a little coin, and he's like, they had art, they had culture. It's like, well, they had a coin. Like,
Art, culture. We took this from the mouth of Smaug himself.
I will not part with a single coin. But and I really could have. I mean, National Treasure's basically archaeology. They make that exciting when they find the ship at the start of National Treasure, right? How exciting is that? I love that, the swelling score, the majesty of seeing. Like, I mean, that is one movie that takes the past and makes it really exciting.
God damn it! You and Nicolas Cage.
It's not just
stop
Nicolas
bringing him up every single time. Another one, like what's that? There's like a movie where they go underwater and they find
The
this
Abyss?
thing. No, it's like I think it's not as good. Maybe. I was thinking it was good. But
Archaeology
but
underwater.
I'm just saying, it just got mate. It's like it's exciting.
It could have been.
An
I'm saying.
Titanic is
There you go.
Is this discovery? They find the bloody ship.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It could have been exciting. This
It
movie.
could have been a
They
Titanic
chose
too.
not to. They chose to make it as boring as possible, and they succeeded.
It is the most boring boat found in an archaeology in a dig.
We're really stretching for time on this pod, but
It should have been called A Dig. That's
Hey.
my recommendation.
it's not the dig. Certainly not.
It's-
This is the
It's
dig.
one of the many digs.
Yeah, well, look, there's not much really more we can say on this movie unless you have any other really burning issues that you had with it, or compliments you want to give it.
Nah.
I just don't understand how they got Carey Mulligan and Ralph Fiennes to agree to this movie. Lily James, I get it. You're still establishing yourself. Yesterday was great.
When did they film it? Was it last year?
It must have been like, maybe it's just a quiet year for movies.
It was, yeah, no, that's it. I reckon they're just like, we've got 0 scripts coming in. We're gonna have to look at this one.
Yeah.
It's an archaeological digger. And then Carey Mulligan probably like asked to have her screen time taken down. That's why she wasn't in the second half of the movie. He's like, can I please just be like off screen for a bit?
Do you want to kill me halfway through, or?
Can I just go now? Am I done?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's pretty much how I felt about the movie. The Dig. Do you think this is an indicator? I mean, this is a problem I have with Netflix films. It didn't appear like a film to me. It felt more like a Netflix miniseries production, just an hour 51. What is it that you think that? I mean, it's directed by a real director. It's written by a real writer. It's got real actors. I mean, it is for all intents and purposes a movie. What is it that distinguishes it from the normal cinema that we go to?
Well, no, I don't know. I think it's just sometimes the movie doesn't hit its notes, and that's it. Like, keep going. Like, this guy, I actually enjoyed The Daughter, so
Yeah, okay.
not just because my mum's in it. Like, outside of that, I thought it was
Well, she
like
stole
my
that
mum
scene.
had a great screen presence, but I mean, no, the movie, The Daughter was quite good. I thought so. I mean, I'm not saying keep making movies, guy.
Simon Stone.
Yeah, Mr. Stone. Soon you can be the other famous Oliver Stone. You know, he could be the most second famous director named Stone. Maybe we can edit this last stuff.
No, this is good stuff. Look, okay, all right. The unfortunate thing about this movie is there really isn't much to discuss about it. We gave you our best effort, pod fans. Next movie, we promise we'll choose a good one.
No, I actually like it when we're reviewing a bad movie. I kind of.
Although I prefer it if I loved it. I just thought it was
Yeah.
the best movie ever, and you're like had the
Seriously,
same opinion.
when we have different opinions, that's when you tune in, because that's going to be good.
That'll be an hour
It's
pod.
going to be yeah. Only one of us will leave.
All right. The Dig. Do you have
Yep.
a final score or final score first,
Yeah, out of what, 10?
or 5?
Is 1 low? 10 being high?
Yeah, 10 being
No,
high.
don't be too crude. But like 5, and maybe a 4.
Ooh, 4.
But like a 5, like, yeah, no, 4. Actually 4.
I was going to give it
2
5.
stars.
I thought
4.
for a moment, I thought 6. And then I thought of that in the 5-star rating, even though it's the same. But 3 out of 5 stars felt way too much. So it's going to be a 5 for me. I don't think I could recommend it to anyone, not even my grandparents, because they don't have long left on this planet. And
That would take away from
that would, that's an hour. I mean, it's only an hour 51. It's not a long movie.
Yeah, write yourself out of the world. Try that. Recommend this to your grandparents.
All right,
There
so
you
The
go.
Dig. So we both agree, don't watch The Dig. We've saved you some time there. 25-minute pod instead of an hour 51 movie. That's the kind of stuff you're getting by listening to the pod.
No, seriously, like, what do you want a non-recommendation, right? You're gonna you don't want people recommending films all the time. You want someone just to say, "Don't watch this film."
Oh, I liked it. Great. I didn't need to know that you liked it as well.
yeah.
But stopping somebody from watching it, that's a
Saves
public
time.
service.
PSA.
All right. Well, that's it for episode 2 of The Hack and the Fraud. Make sure you tune in next week. What are we going to be watching next time, you reckon?
Well, maybe Master and Commander.
Maybe Master and Commander?
Maybe.
Maybe that High Ground. Australian Western.
Maybe High Ground.
Maybe we'll see. Anyway, catch you next time on the pod. Thanks for tuning in once again. We'll see you next time. What was your catchphrase last time? Listen out.
And I will be watching you. I think that was it.
All right. That's good.